Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and the elect. All right. This is Ariel Zabat out of the GMS Dallas camp. And I'm going to entitle this lesson here, The Elect Seeketh Salvation. All right. One of the, things that the elect would be doing during these times, okay, while all hell is breaking loose, these prophecies are unfolding day by day. You have this war, trying to intensify or de-escalating, nevertheless, these prophecies are, they're speaking, okay, and let's get Jeremiah, the second chapter. Let's get that. All right. This is Jeremiah 2. Let's get verse 33. This is Jeremiah 2 and 33, and it reads, "Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways." All right. And this is what, the 2/3 would be doing. Okay. Trying to trim their way to seek love. One thing about, Israel, whether it's the 1/3, well, just all of Israel, all of Israel have that zeal in them. Okay. And whether, they seek, they not seeking knowledge, they just don't have the spirit, okay? And the chosen and the elect, they're going to be doing what, Yahweh Shai told us to do, all right? Because, we're operating in faith, okay? Nothing wrong with the law, statutes, and commandments. It's good. We're supposed to keep those, to the best of your ability, according to Judges 5 and 11. Although, Jacob, in this truth, and I'm speaking to these other camps now, and even, the scoffers, everyone is, fascinated with making, this truth a brand, whether it's having, matching color fringes on, having debates, for likes, okay, having merchandise just so they can sell and make money and profit off the ministry. All right. And these are the ways that these Israelites, are seeking love. Okay. Whether it's the 501c3, needing a high rank, just so, people can look at them and want to be told how well that they are doing. Okay. So these are the things that, Israel is seeking. But the chosen and the elect, they're going to be doing, the totally opposite. Okay. The chosen and the elect is that faithful woman, who has respect. Okay. She understand, which I'm speaking of Israel, the chosen and the elect, that they're going to recognize their position and the authority over them. We was commanded by Yahweh Shai to go out and do the work as men. Okay. And that's all, we're focused on is watching over the sheep, feeding the sheep, through this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding out there on the highways and byways, and also uploading videos, that the chosen and the elect may be sealed. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab Romans, the 9th chapter. All right. And let's get verse 27. All right. This is Romans 9 and 27. And it reads, Esaias, who is Isaiah, also cried concerning Israel, though the number of children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. Right. And that's who the, chosen and the elect out of, the nation of Israel will be doing during these times is watching, okay? In the spirit of prophecy, according to Revelation 19:10. You see? And most of these camps, they're not even worried about prophecy. They don't even really go into it. They don't teach it, teach it much, although they believe in a MOTB. You don't see them out there, teaching it, warning the sheep and feeding the sheep. It's very important. Okay. So another thing that, the chosen elect will be doing is showing our people love. Okay. And how do you do that? It's through these commandments, through our actions. Our actions show that, we love our people. And this is speaking of the elect. All right. The elect is going to rebuke. The elect is going to build up. Okay. The elect is going to show that brotherly love. The fruits of the spirit. Okay. All of these things, that's a big contribute of being, a faithful wife when it comes to that remnant, that woman that's being prepared for Yahweh Shai when he returns. All right. So let's go to the next chapter, and we're going to start from the top. And this word of faith brings salvation. Okay. And this is what we should be operating in. And this is what the chosen and elect is operating in, is salvation. And not the other things, all of these distractions, money, trying to chase the bag, trying to build in the community, don't want to call on the right names, all these different doctrines, again, want to debate, join hand in hand with our enemies, okay? Saying that the heathen can be saved. All right. The doctrine watered down. All of these things is going to bring, all of those things will bring destruction. And that's what the 2/3 are seeking for. All right. But the chosen and elect, they're going to be doing different. They're going to be diligently hard working, being resourceful. Okay. Actively contributing, to the well-being of the body. Okay. You see, verse 1, and it reads, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to the Most High for Israel is that they might be saved. Okay. And this is, what the chosen and elect are going to be doing. All right. We understand that, we have the mind and the understanding that, hey, salvation is what we in this thing for. Okay. Verse 2, and it reads, for I bear them record that they have the zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Right. Because everything that the 2/3 are doing, they being misdirected. Okay. And that's because they're not watching and not in the spirit and don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shai. That comes through his death, burial, and resurrection, understanding what this grace time is. All right. So we should be seeking salvation. Okay. Not all of these other distractions. Not want to listen to your leaders where you learn the word from. You want to branch off and do your own thing and get your own doctrine going. These are the things that, the 2/3 is going to be misdirected by. Okay. In verse 3, and it reads, for they, being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of the Most High. And that's right, because that's where pride come in because of who has the truth. It doesn't matter uh, who you do and don't like. If you learn that you was a Hebrew Israelite, under our apostles at GMS, and on down, then hey, you should, hearken unto your leaders. The scripture say your eyes shall see your teachers. Thine eyes shall see their teachers. Okay. So, all it is pretty much rebellion, just so you can fulfill the lust of your flesh, your own belly. And those are the things that's going to cause you to be destroyed. All right. So, the elect, they're going to be always, seeking salvation. And that's doing the work with no gimmicks. We don't need that. Just preach the word. That's all that's needed. Okay. And one thing about the elect as well, the elect is going to have that loyalty. Okay. Standing by, our power, through thick and thin, because everything is not going to be pretty, and easy. Okay. We got to walk through that straight gate. Okay. Yahweh Shai, he was hated on. So guess what? We're going to be hated on, but it's going to take that loyalty and trustworthiness. All right. That's where we're going to need to be honest and reliable, even in self-examination. Okay. As the body. All right. That's how, our hearts, which is our minds, going to be searched, and knowing that we can be dependable. All right. Another thing the woman's going to be doing is diligently seeking Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And that's putting in the work, being resourceful, okay, active, okay, looking at the well-being of the body, the brothers, okay, the chosen and the elect, including men and women and children. All right. So let's get 1 Thessalonians. Okay. Let's get that. Chapter 5. I'm going to start from verse 6. Okay. And it reads, therefore, let us not sleep. Why? Because we're watching. Okay. We're seeing what our enemy is doing, trying to lay snares upon the sheep. But if we're watching and feeding the sheep, then we won't have to worry. And it's going to, get into that. Start over from verse 6 again. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Okay. We have to be, clear-minded, our mind on these scriptures, keeping our medicine strong, as Apostle Rakah always tell us. Okay. That's the only way, we're going to make it through this thing. All right. Because we do have, demons that attack us, and if we're in a spirit day in and day out, doing the work, being diligently, proactive, we have no problem, taking care and keeping our mind on Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. Verse 7, and it reads, for they that sleep in the night. Okay. And that's people being wicked. All right. And they that be drunken are drunken in the night. Okay. And this is when all of this wickedness take place, when you're not watching, you're not being productive. Okay. You're not doing any of those things. More likely, you spending time outside of the scriptures. Okay. You busy doing other things. You becoming more annoyed quickly. You see, you refuse to, to be a brother and help out. Okay. There becomes a drastic shift in your relationship, And these are the things that the wicked 2/3 are doing. And those drastic changes are all of those distractions. And that's why, when this MOTB come out, a lot of our people, I'm speaking of the 2/3, they're going to take it. Okay? Because they're sleeping and being drunken. All right? On these philosophies and these other distractions, these idols. All right? Verse 8, and it reads, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love. Right. And then going back to that faith again, when you're faithful, you're gonna have those characteristics of a faithful wife. Having diligence, trustworthy, a strong relationship with her power. Okay, very supportive of the body. All right, loyalty. Loving your people, watching and feeding the sheep. All right. Okay. Verse 8 again. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet, the hope of salvation. Because this is where our confidence come in. We're hoping we're the chosen and elect. Okay. That's why we say the hope for chosen and elect. All right. You see? Because no one knows that if they got a ride, on that chamber. And that's where we're trying to get into, that chariot. All right. So this is our whole point of going out to the highways and byways, Isaiah 58 and 1, crying and sighing, out throughout the four corners of the earth where our people are scattered, mainly here in Babylon the Great. Okay. Verse 9, and it reads, for the Most High had not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by who? Our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. Why? Because through his death, burial, and resurrection, he have given us an escape plan. You see? But we have to walk that straight gate, have the correct doctrine, 100% truth, doing the work, being watchmen, feeding the sheep. All right. In verse 10, and it reads, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Okay. So it doesn't matter, when it comes to this salvation, we have to endure, whether we're beheaded, or whether we make it to the end. Okay. Because when Yahushua return, we want to see him on that great day. We want to enter into those chambers and not have any part of the second death. All right. Which is the lake of fire. Okay. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and elect. Shalom.